Anthony Ward, Electronics. And I'm going to let each one of them just give a brief introduction, and then Jay will just give you guys a little bit of history about REI and who we are. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what my role will be with you guys once the installation process starts, and kind of how this will get rolled out to each one of you. And then Anthony Ward will speak for a little bit just on what his team will be doing when they arrive on site. And then we're going to open it up for questions and hopefully get all of your questions answered and be in a good place before we get started with this process. So with that, Jay.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Nimitz. I'm a national accounts manager here at REI. I've been with us for about 5.5 years in various capacities. Most recently, I've been working with a lot of the school bus contractors across the country. So I'm familiar with kind of what you guys have going on in that realm. And so I'll move it on to Spencer.
Hi, I'm Spencer. I'm the channel director for REI. So channel development, product development. Today I'm here more or just to learn from you guys, and if there is any challenges you guys are running into that involve our engineering, it's kind of where I come in. I do a lot of the product development and I do a lot of the interaction with our engineers here on different when we run into challenges. So if I hear anything from you guys, that's what I'm here today for, is to hear your feedback.
And then Anthony.
Hello, my name is Anthony Ward. I own a company called Ward Electronics, and we are partnered with REI and Vera to complete the actual installation at your facilities. We've been in business for about 28 years doing this type of work on commercial vehicles, specialized in the motor coach industry, a lot of school bus work as well, heavy equipment. Some of our customers include the U.S. military, colleges all over the United States, as well as companies like Pepsi-Cola and DHL. So we've completed about 100,000 installations so far. We have about 4,500 already scheduled for this year. So very familiar with the school bus industry and what it takes to complete a project like this. So happy to be involved. Kim.
All right, with that, Jay, if you want to share your screen and take over, and then I'll start with the actual installation process and what everyone on this call can expect once the process begins.
All righty. Great. So I'm going to hold you at PowerPoint here for just a couple of minutes to just kind of go over what REI, our history, some of our experience, and kind of what kind of team you're going to be dealing with when you work with REI. So REI is like an 85-year-old family-owned company based in Omaha, Nebraska. There's some pictures here of the ownership, our employees, our team, the people that work in the background in the plant. And so that's kind of our facility here in Omaha. We do carry a ton of inventory, so we don't have any issues with supply chain. I won't say any. In the new world there, we have had a couple, but nothing compared to what we've seen from some other companies. This slide kind of shows you what I believe really sets us apart from some of the other people in this space. And these are our engineers. So we have 25 hardware and software engineers here in Omaha that are working on mobile electronics. So we do all of the design, all of the testing. We have a full, manufacturing capability. We can do metal bending. We can do vacuum, plastic forming, all of those things. So that shows you, here we have David doing some testing. Here's Bernie doing some design work. we're doing some powder coating here. This is James Addison, who had a big hand in designing the stop arm system. And then here we have Ryan. He's down here. He's doing some testing, and that's one of the big things that we do is we do a lot of testing on our equipment to make sure that it's ready for that beautiful weather you were describing earlier in New York. Whether it's, I always say we shake it, we bake it, and we freeze it to make sure that it's ready for the environments that we know exist in the school bus world. Like Anthony and Kim both said, we've been in the stop arm game for over 10 years. We have thousands of installations across the country. We have, great installations that are professional, repeatable, have a lot of respect for your equipment because we know we're invading your equipment when we do an installation. We want to make sure that we do that properly, work with the local governments on making sure everything's approved. And we also provide 24/7, 365-day support based here in Omaha. So if there is an issue with any of our equipment, we can be contacted, and we have a team. Kim has an excellent team of technical service representatives that are able to work through those things. A lot of the times we can make diagnosis and repairs remotely, or if we do have to take care of it, we do it in a quick and easy manner for you. This is just kind of a little diagram about our stop arm system. We have a pod that hangs on the side of the bus, and it has a radar unit in it. And when the stop arm is out and the bus is going under 1 mile an hour and you go by it, you're getting a ticket in the mail. So up to 60 miles an hour, up to 4 lanes over. So it's a pretty amazing system that we're really proud of, and really is providing results as far as really it's safety for the students and making sure that they're safe around the bus. So this is the system, and kind of a picture of it here. This is the pod that goes on the outside of the vehicle. This is the DVR. We have, lots of that's the overview camera. And this is just kind of a laundry list of some of the key features that we have. So like I said, we've been doing it for 10 years. This is probably, we call it V2, but it's probably more like 6 or 7 versions that we've done over the years, just continuing to improve the performance, the durability, and the installation of the units. This is an example of a violation. So, like I said, if you go by the bus, you're getting a picture of you going by, you're getting a picture of your license plate and the date, the time, the map, everything is right there. So it's pretty damning information. Here's just a couple of pictures of actual installation. So here's the pod on the bus. It goes, depending on the bus, it may be above or below this bottom rib, but we have to keep it low on the vehicle. Here's an actual camera capture of the plate. And then this is a capture of the plate at night. So it does have infrared, so it does work in low light or even no light conditions. This is just a diagram. Kim is going to go into more of what the system consists of and how we install it. But this is the diagram of the equipment that'll be going onto your vehicles. The DVR, we have an antenna. We have, the overview camera, the pod there, and just kind of an overview of this system. So we can provide this to you if you'd like. It just kind of shows what our system looks like. And this last slide just kind of gives my and Kim's contact information. I do work with the contractors, so if you ever have any questions about stop arm or non-stop arm equipment or anything, you can contact me, and I can work with you. So with that, Kim, I think I'll hand it back to you. You're muted.
Yep. So I'm not a Zoom person either. So record. Request control. All right.
The share screen button's in the bottom middle. Should be a green light.
There we go. Thank you.
You're welcome. We use Teams at our office, and so we just Zooms don't ever go as smoothly. Sorry.
All right. So Jay kind of gave you a little snapshot of what a violation looks like. You know, all of our objectives is for the safety of our students. So I just kind of wanted to share with you an actual violation. This actually got sent to us because we were in the middle of doing a validation and we didn't have our license plates covered. So Vera Mobility issued REI a ticket for $250. So this is real. As you can see, it does actually show the license plates. It shows the car. That's one of our work vans going through the stop arm. Oops. Lists the address. It shows GPS, where it occurred, which officer reviewed it, and how much the violation was, and where they can send their payment for the ticket. I don't know what Nassau County's agreement is. You guys probably have that information more than we do. We don't usually see the physical tickets that go to the violators. This just happened to get issued to REI. Any questions on the way the actual ticket will be laid out? Okay. This is our installation guide that has been approved by the New York DOT. So prior to completing installations, the DOT comes out and ensures that we are installing according to their standards. And they have popped in on us in Broome County several times at different locations while we've been installing to make sure that we are good to go. As Jay mentioned, there's 5 basic pieces of equipment that we're going to be installing. There's a pod that gets mounted on the exterior. There's an overview camera that gets mounted on the top driver's side exterior. There's a DVR that's inside a metal lockbox that gets mounted under the seat, approximately 2 seats behind the driver. There's an antenna and a GPS receiver that gets mounted on top of the roof. So this is the actual installation guide that has been approved by the DOT.
So Kim, I'm sorry, we're still seeing the that REI passing the bus. Are you sure? Are you looking at another screen?
No, let's see. I apologize.
No worries.
Kim, I think it shares by application.
Yeah, can you see it now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that.
No worries.
Again, not a Zoom person.
No worries, no worries.
Okay, so this is the installation guide, as I was saying. The basic components that Anthony's team will be installing is the pod, the DVR, the overview camera, an antenna, and a GPS. And then we also install an event marker. The event marker allows the driver to actually flag a piece of video so that it can be reviewed in the event of, they know something's happened. We've supplied video to police officers. Just our most recent one was in Broome County. There was a shooting on the street and the suspect ran, and our cameras actually caught the suspect on video. And we were able to, this driver hit the event marker, it flagged it. We were able to grab that video and supply it to the police department, and they were able to apprehend the suspect in the shooting. So it does help in other situations other than just the stop arm piece of it. That's just how we harness our, connect our wires for our sensors. Picture of our GPS. Jay kind of shared this a little bit with you guys when he was going over the exterior of the cameras. This is how we split loom for our DVR and our underseat mount. So all of your cables are split loomed. There's just a magnetic plate when the installer is mounting the pod. It's a pretty simple installation process. Then the other thing that we do is each installation, the installer is required to complete what we call a fast field forms. So they physically take pictures of the bus and all of the serial numbers, and they submit that to my team. So we track every serial number of every piece of equipment that's installed on your bus. And they also take pictures of the installation itself. Which you guys aren't going to care about the serial numbers. I care about those for the warranty process. But this is a picture from inside the DVR and actual footage. That's the actual under seat mount for the DVRs locked inside of here so that the students can't get to it. We take a picture of the J box to show that we completed our wiring accurately. And then pictures that all of our zip ties are in accordance with the DOT. And then there's the installation of that. That's the antenna and that's the GPS unit. Then we silicone all of our holes. And then the installer signs that. Any questions on the actual installation and the forms that are completed at this point?
Yes, I have a question regarding the installation. I'm just curious as to why you're mounting it below the rub rail. The cameras that we have installed right now are mounted on the belt line. So I'd be hesitant to have them mounted below the rub rail where they're more susceptible to damage. Is there any benefit to doing it that way?
So our camera, the pods have to be 3 to 4 feet from the bottom. And if you put it on top of it, your pictures aren't going to be as clear and they're not going to be as good. So that's one of our requirements. I can tell you we have, thousands of them. Sure, they get into accidents, but I would say they're not as much any more likely to be susceptible to damage above or below the rib rail.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. One other question I have is regarding the OEMs. Has there been any further discussion with the OEMs to install your equipment while the vehicles are being assembled, rather than waiting until they get delivered to the end user, which could result in downtime? Obviously, if you install this equipment while they're being assembled at the manufacturer, it would eliminate downtime when they get here.
Yeah, that we do partner with OEMs. At this point, we have not discussed or come to any kind of agreements for the stop arm systems to be installed at the manufacturers. It's not something that's out of the realm of possibility. And I agree with you regarding the downtime. A couple of things that could potentially limit us would be they would have to complete this process. In addition, VeriMobility, once we install it, the installation form has been completed, Then we simulate a drive-by, and our system talks to Vera Mobility system, and that all has to be coordinated prior to. And then they do an actual sign off saying, yep, everything is in accordance with our installation guides, and tickets can be distributed. But that's a great idea, and we appreciate that feedback, and we'll definitely take that into consideration moving forward when you guys get your new buses.
Yes, and I'll just tag on to that. When we contact the bus manufacturers, we're viewed as someone trying to sell them something. When you contact them, obviously you're a customer asking for something. So we are more than happy to engage any of your contacts and even engage them together to try and pull it through rather than push it through. I found that it's much more effective if we have multiple people asking for it. So moving forward, that might be something we could discuss as well. Go ahead, Kim.
Okay, so prior to the installation process beginning, both Anthony Ward and myself would like to come on site and do a site visit, tick off all the questions that we have, talk to you about what kind of garbage that we will need to have available, garbage pickup, how much garbage we're going to be accumulating throughout the installation process, times, where can we store the equipment, you know, how often do we need a driver available to move buses for us, and how we can work together, you know, more efficiently. We haven't gotten word from Vera Mobility when this process is going to begin, so we don't have any scheduled time yet. But as soon as we receive that, I will be in contact with each one of you, setting up some times. We're only going to need like 30 minutes of your time while we're on site, and then we'll get moving. I'll be doing all of the coordination for shipping, tracking numbers, any of those types of things. And then Anthony Ward's team will be the ones who will physically be on site completing the installations. And then they communicate back to me and my team as the installations happen. Any other questions for me before we hand it over to Anthony?
I do have a question. You said that your systems have GPS and cameras and things of that nature. Where's all of this equipment being powered from? Is it drawing from the battery? You know, what is going to be the longevity of the battery if it's pulling? Because some of the districts, as in the chat indicated, we already have our own cameras and our own GPSs on our buses. And now that we're adding this additional equipment that needs to be powered, what's that going to look like for us?
Jay, the draw is not very much, correct?
No, it's not. And actually, Anthony might be better served to answer that getting kind of technical, but you know, he's, like I said in the chat, we're very experienced in dealing with multiple systems. And honestly, compared to a transit bus, you guys don't have very much stuff on your bus. So we are very familiar with working together and making sure that the systems that are on the bus continue to operate exactly as they did before we showed up, and our system operates as well. And as far,
oops, sorry, Jay, go ahead.
And as far as the power consumption, it is not very high at all, particularly when the bus is not running. And then there are settings that we do to make sure that we can do downloads after the bus is shut off, but that's also something we can discuss on a case-by-case basis if you do have concerns about that.
So if I can add to that, this is Anthony Ward. The current draw, when the system is fully operational, in other words, there's an active stop arm being recorded, all the cameras on the pod and the overview camera are powered up. You're pulling about 6 amps at 12 volt DC off the bus. You asked about where it's powered from. Depending on the bus manufacturer, each different bus, whether it's a Bluebird or a Thomas or International. They all have designated ignition sources as well as constant power. So we tie into both. We tie into the constant power. That's where the 6 amps would be pulled from when it's fully active. The ignition source, of course, just basically lets the system know if the ignition's running or not, and it pulls about 50 milliamps. So there's very little draw there. When the system is in what I consider idle mode, the bus is just driving down the road, less than an amp of current being pulled. And when the bus is shut off, it goes into what we call download delay mode for an hour, typically where REI sets them at. But like Jay said, it can be changed on a case-by-case basis if Nassau County wants something different. But during that download delay, the cameras are all powered off. It's just the DVR and the wireless modem. And you have about a 2 amp draw during that time. And that only lasts for the duration of when a video is being downloaded. If there's still something in queue to be downloaded, that typically takes 4 or 5 minutes for a stop arm to be downloaded. So very, very minimal draw on the system. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, and what about DOT? Has all of this installation been approved by New York DOT?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
it
it has.
And we actively invite the DOT to come out anytime that they choose to, look at our work and to understand what we're doing. They all have this installation guide as well.
Okay, and one last question, because I'm a little confused, because we have Vera Mobility, we have REI, and now we have Water Electronics. How is all of these companies affiliated with one another?
So Vera Mobility is the company that actually issues the violations. REI is the manufacturer of the hardware, and we also complete all of the maintenance after the fact. So if there's any technology issues, we'll hire someone who will be located in your area and we'll dispatch them to your locations to replace or fix any equipment. And Ward Electronics completes the physical installation of the hardware.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, if I can ask a question, I'm from East Williston on Long Island. My name's Diane, and I'm in the business office. So I'm just curious how, from the business perspective, this gets rocking and rolling from the school district side. I know we have to go through Nassau County and do some sort of contracts with Nassau County. We have some of our own buses, but we also have contracted buses. So can you talk a little bit about that process, or if that's too specific for this group, I can reach out to somebody?
Yeah,
Go ahead, Kim.
I was to say I can send you Vera Mobility's contact. His name is John Ryan. But I know we receive what we call what Vera Mobility refers to as an ORF, and it's a bus. It's a list of your buses, make, model, and year that we'll be installing the camera equipment on, with your signatures and agreements regarding how the county and the school districts work through their contract process. That would be more of a question for Vera Mobility.
Okay, thank you.
All right, what other questions do you guys have for us? Any concerns regarding the actual installation?
I have a question for Jay. Jay, has there been any further discussions on how the contractors are going to get compensated for the licensing fee to use our equipment? There is a significant amount of downtime associated with installation. And I know there has been some discussions. Is that something REI is involved in, or is that specifically for Vera and the county?
That's specifically for Vera and the county. I apologize for not being able to answer that, but the dollars and cents of what happens with the violations is really completely something that we don't get involved in.
Okay, thank you.
Again, if you do, we are more than happy to be a conduit for you to get in contact and ask those questions. So I posted my email address and Kim's email address in the chat again. So if you provide a question and your contact information, we can get that into the right hands and try to get them to contact you directly. Any other questions?
And regarding downtime, if you guys have any questions, we currently just installed at First Student in Broome County in Binghamton. If you guys want to reach out to them and, you know, ask them how we did, how long was their bus actually down for, I think you'll see it's minimal time. Hopefully they're only missing one route and that's it. And you have a spare bus that can take that place for that bus.
Kim, I think we were told by Bureau Mobility that it would be a minimum of 2 hours per bus. Is that accurate to say?
No, it's anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. So 2 hours is pushing it. We will not be able to install in a 2-hour time frame.
So maximum about, I would say, an 8 or 9 hour day, depending upon how many crew members that are on site. It could be maybe only anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 buses a day.
Mhm.
I don't know, Anthony, if you want to answer that.
Sure. So we try to right size our crews based on bus availability. So keep in mind, Kim and I will have already visited the locations prior to our teams arriving. And while we're there, we try to learn how many spare buses, if any, that you have, how you utilize those, and just determine how many buses can be given to us at one time. The first thing that our crew is going to do when they arrive on site is, after making introductions and doing inventory of the material, they're going to try to learn your bus schedules, route schedules, when the buses come back, and we will customize our installation times around that to minimize the amount of downtime. And if you have a specific route that requires installation be done in 2 hours, you know, we can put additional people on that installation, and you know, we can't maintain that throughout the entire process, but we can definitely, you know, move people around to get routes back on schedule, things of that nature as needed. So we're fully customizable as far as the times that we work and the schedules that we lay out. But we typically, one crew of 4 to 6 people, depending on the bus manufacturer, whether it's a Thomas or Bluebirds, or if there's a mixture, would complete somewhere between 6 and 10 per day. Some of the big determining factors are that if the buses, like if we predetermine the day before, you know, the 10 bus numbers we're going to install the next day, and those buses are available and not all day, but if they're, you know, lined up for us in close proximity, we move a lot faster. Anytime we have to shut down, load tools and equipment and move to a different bus lot or to a different side of the garage or whatever, it really costs us time. So it all depends on how things are laid out and, you know, how the buses are available. So.
Will we only have one crew per on site, or is it more than one crew?
It depends on how many locations are ready to go at one time. And again, you know, if there's more than one crew, we would have to have a lot of buses available. So usually it's counterproductive at one school district to have one crew, because we just can't get enough buses available without affecting their operation, if that makes sense. If you can give us 20 buses a day, then yeah, we would put 2 crews in.
No, I understand. I just wanted to make sure. And that's that one crew full duration of the full installation, or would that crew only be there 1 week and then a different crew come a different week?
So our crews work 8 days on and then they take 6 days off. So basically they're going to work their 80 hours in a straight 8-day period. It's going to be a Tuesday through a Tuesday. So they will be working one weekend over the weekend. And that seems to be in most cases where we're most productive, actually. So we like to take advantage of that weekend. Then they will go home on Wednesday and they'll come back the following Monday evening to begin work on the following Tuesday. So it's an 8 and 6 schedule per crew. In Broome County, depending on how the schedule is laid out, we had talked about putting on back-to-back crews so that every Tuesday you would have 2 crews available. But again, that depends on bus availability and we certainly don't want to have, we can't take too many of your buses out of service at the same time, right? So we have to be conscious of the routes and what's required there. So, but I can customize the manpower and the crew to fit the needs and the availability of the buses.
There was some apprehension about the different crew members installing the buses differently than the same. Everybody is trained to install the buses in the same criteria. There wouldn't be any type of variation or difference between one crew or one person over the other.
No, all of our crews install everything the exact same way. They've all been trained the same way. They all install by the same DOT approved standard. And again, there are pictures of all of our installations that are done to ensure that is maintained. So there's
And
no question.
just to add to Anthony's employees are all full-time employees of his. We don't come into a location and then hire somebody that doesn't have the experience and has been trained by his team. So his are all full-time employees of Ward Electronics.
Yes,
So they've
thanks.
all been trained the same exact way.
Yeah, they're trained the same and they have the same. We'll assign a project coordinator to your project who's responsible for making sure that's maintained. And we're the only installation company that I know of that uses only our employees. Most companies will hire local temporary work, I guess, temporary help in each location. And that's, that causes problems from my experience. So we just don't do that.
Kim, can you just walk us through your quality assurance process? Is there a process where someone checks the buses before they give them back to the district or the contractor to check for loose wires, metal shaving, sharp objects? What's the quality assurance process?
Yeah, the project coordinator that Anthony was just speaking about is responsible for that process. And they do ensure that all the metal shavings have been vacuumed and shot backed up and there's no loose bolts and the wires are good. And they also send pictures to my team of each of those pieces of the installation. And then my team reviews those prior to it getting released back into service.
Okay,
I have
thank
a
you.
question. I know that, I know how far we are in the process, but I'm wondering who makes the decision? So we let Nassau County know, yes, we're interested in this program. What happens next? Does Nassau County put a list together and then they reach out to say, I'll be in Levittown in August and I'll be in Jericho in October? Like, how's that going to work?
So once REI receives your signed paperwork with your bus list, then I'll be in contact with you to set up a site visit, and both Anthony and myself will come visit your site. And at that time, we'll say, okay, we're going to start in October. And once we start, we're just going to go site to site to site to site, back to back to back to back.
Okay, and so you're picking those school districts from the list that Nassau County put together, or should we be doing something separate at this point?
I don't think there's anything separate. I know someone had a question regarding the contractual process. And that's a Vera Mobility. I don't have a status as of today where that stands. Have you been given any kind of paperwork to sign or complete from the county?
No.
So that would be the next step, is
Okay.
to find out when you guys are going to get that physical paperwork. And once you sign that paperwork and we get, the information from Vera Mobility, then we here at REI and both Anthony's team, we're ready to begin the installation process.
Okay, thank you.
You bet.
If certain months or times of the year are better for a certain district than others, is it workable or flexible? Or if you say we're going to be there in October and October is it? Is that it?
Well, I believe we have a certain time frame that we have to have the installations completed. I don't know that exact number of days. We will accommodate as best as we can. You might say, hey, Kim, I'm gonna be, or my head mechanic's on vacation the week of October 15th. So can we schedule a different week? Absolutely, we can be accommodating in that fashion. That is not a problem at all.
So I would say to answer your question, it's kind of a both and. There's going to be contract requirements that we have to work within. But
Yes.
Kim and her team and Anthony and her team, we want you to be happy. That's our number one goal. So we're going to work with you to try to make this installation as painless as possible.
What's your guys' average fleet size for each contractor? Is it 50, 75,
500.
150?
I think all the school districts vary as well as the contractors. I think we all vary in size.
Okay.
I think me and maybe Long Beach have the biggest fleet. I have almost 100 buses.
Okay.
I think Garden City's up there too.
On the contractor side, We Transport has about 700 buses in Nassau County.
Okay. We'll do everything we can to accommodate. You know, we want to make sure that your buses are down for the least amount of time and we get in and out and, you know, are as of the smallest disruption to your operations as possible.
Again, that might be, you know, Kim mentioned a reference earlier in the call that may be able to put your mind at ease a little bit about what an installation really looks like. Because how many buses was that installation?
At Broome County,
Yes.
450 we did. In what, 65 days, Anthony? And we only had one crew. We weren't running, you know, we were only running 8 days and then 6 days we weren't installing at all. You know, with this project, we'll have crews running 24, you know, all throughout the month.
Yeah, that's right, Kim. And we had some delays in between too, as far as we could have been a little bit more efficient, I guess, if we hadn't had delays
Correct.
due to scheduling and things. But yeah.
So before we close up, the last thing I wanted to say is don't sit on a question. You have, and we can provide you with our contact information. Please reach out to us if you're wondering something, if there's information that you would like to have. We are very, you know, happy to help and answer any question that we can at any time. So please don't feel like this meeting is the only access you have to us. And you can share that with your colleagues that may not be on this call. Please reach out to us and we are more than happy to discuss any and all of your questions.
Anybody else have any other questions for us at this time? Well, thank you guys for your time today. We really appreciate it. And as Jay mentioned, you know, feel free to reach out at any time with any questions. I will pass along the questions you guys had regarding the contract and the compensation pieces to John Ryan at Vera Mobility. And yeah, I can always send the presentation and also put John's contact information in that at the end for you guys and email that out.
So Kim, Jay, and Anthony, I just, on behalf of Nassau NIAP, I'd like to thank you three for taking the time out to jump on this call and answer some questions. You know, it's very much appreciated on our end. So again, thank you for the time and the information. It's much appreciated.
You're welcome, and we look forward to working with everyone.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. If that's it, if there's no more other questions, I'm gonna go ahead and end the call. This call was recorded. It's gonna be on our website if we all, you know, if anyone wants to reference it again. So we'll have it up on the website shortly, okay? Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
have a great day.
You too.
Bye-bye.